I'm talking to David James. David is the Chief Learning Strategist at Loop, and he's talking about the empowered learner. So to set that in a little bit of context, David has made a very short video that describes what he means by the empowered learner, and we're going to play that for you now.
An empowered learner is any one of us who uses modern technology in order to find the information or know-how that we need at our moment of need, or to get learning on demand when we want it in order to develop ourselves more broadly. Modern technology, and especially connectivity, have helped us to develop habits and preferences outside of the workplace that are able to then develop us or move us from not knowing to knowing in the shortest possible time. And we've brought these individually into the workplace, and we've honed them in order to help us with our jobs. So 91% of smartphone users globally will search on their device for help whilst they're completing a task. And YouTube how-to searches are growing by 70% every year. And we also know that when we need to know something for our jobs, we'll quite often Google it, rather than hunt for the answer within our organisation. So more than 70% of people say that they've read an article or watched a video for professional development in the last 24 hours, whilst less than 25% of people have attended a course in the last 2 years. The repercussions of all of this for L&D are that with modern learning technology tools, we're seeing far greater engagement and can track higher usage even outside of normal working hours. And this is because people are motivated to better themselves, but with tools that they want to use and content that meets their individual need.
David, what got you interested in the concept of the empowered learner?
So what got me interested in this, Nigel, was that I think for a number of years I've become frustrated at the impact that I was having as a learning professional against what I saw as the potential. But I recognised very quickly, as soon as I started to do any analysis, that my learning habits were different to the ones that I were espousing in-house. I had the opportunity when I started with Loop after leaving Disney to explore that somewhat further. I started testing it out on some folks, and at the same time I think some writers and speakers were talking about the same thing. And so the empowered learner recognises that we all learn differently these days. I even challenge the word learning. We grab what we need in order to perform, and it's recognition of what we see that's going on in the world today.
And that's different to how it was 10 years ago?
Yeah, that's right. I think that learning and development have always been hamstrung by the resources we have available to us, and we have the problem of scale. We have a great number of stakeholders and employees that we need to service. Classrooms have served us for scale. E-learning has served us for scale, but learners went down a different path. The internet changed the game, as far as I'm concerned.
So we've got a whole bunch of learners who are YouTube savvy, internet savvy, use their mobile device for most things in their life. Mm-hmm. And we've got a learning operation that still relies on fixed point, on traditional email delivered over a computer. And so you're saying there's a kind of mismatch between what we offer the learner as in-house providers and the way the learner actually learns in the real world.
Yeah, that's right. The traditional course hasn't adapted to the complex, but I suppose the complexities of business today, whilst the immediacy of the internet and the more sophisticated web search has allowed employees to do this themselves. But what I see as the big opportunity, and the reason that I wrote The Empowered Learner, is that as a strategic L&D leader, it's not good enough for me to know that people can find their own sources, because that's not building in-house internal capability within the organisation, helping us to achieve our strategic goals. It's helping to service people's moment of need and their own personal ambitions, as well as feeding their own interests.
Yeah, so you're almost saying that we are busily making ourselves redundant as learning professionals because we're not aligning and adjusting to the real world out there. And as business becomes more complex, needs change, needs speed up often. We have to be on top of all of that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The exciting thing I see with this though, Nigel, is that there is a critical role for learning and development here, but one that rather than potentially touching very few people infrequently with traditional approaches, we could potentially impact everybody's performance every day.
Yeah. So it's almost like going from creation to curation, helping provide a platform, provide opportunities that allow people to find it themselves, work themselves, and do it anytime, any place, anywhere, when they need it. Yeah. That's the kind of new world. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And I see that the broader opportunity is by understanding who knows what within an organisation. The way I see it is that you're providing a map of the terrain. If you were to ask a CEO or an MD what they want from the learning function, were you to provide some options, I'm sure a map of the terrain showing how successful people are already doing things, especially in periods of transition, providing that exact map rather than a generic atlas of the world, I think that again potentially has broader impact.
Yeah, so it's almost like a kind of Google Maps where you go from an atlas of the world down to where an individual building is on a street, and often the learner wants to know where the building on the street is. They don't care necessarily where that sits in the shape of the world. Yeah. So that Google does that for us, and we've got to do that with learning.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a better opportunity now with technology that's available to us to change that role from content owners and knowledge specialists to those facilitators, understanding who knows what within an organisation, and becoming the best connected and most effective department within an organisation.
So if we look at those shifts that you've just indicated, I guess the first one is a bit more curation and a bit less creation, a bit more facilitation and a bit less control, and a bit more listening rather than a bit less talking, and also I would imagine a bit more content sourced from within the organisation and from outside rather than from within the learning department. Are they the kind of major shifts? Have I missed any?
Yeah, well the only other one that I'd mentioned there is to challenge our over-reliance on the course, yes. Whatever it is. A lot of courses are slinging mud at a wall. Very little sticks in the first place, and to know whether that was the content or the approach was appropriate for every individual in the room, again, is a guess. If we can just challenge our course mindset, provide resources that can help people to do their job, extract from experts and the best of the web, and then see how that lands. We can, with technology today, we can iterate over time. We can get contributions from across a business to make our learning experiences living and breathing and continually fit for purpose.
So in other words, it's almost like we're moving from a world where we simply replaced the analog with digital. So we went from courses to e-learning courses to a digital transformation, which isn't, forget about courses, it's about building learning environments, getting appropriate content. It's going from massification, if you like, i.e. going for as many people as you can, through to personalisation, tailoring it to the individual, and ultimately, I suppose, from individuals working on their own to communities of learners solving their own problems, being facilitated by the learning operation. That's a massive shift, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a massive shift for learning and development, but the whole point of the empowered learner is that it's not such a big shift for them because they're already doing it.
They get it.
So I use a phrase now, and it comes from a book called Traction, which is all about how you get people involved in your product. And the phrase we use is, how can you help people to do what they want to do better?
Yes, exactly. So people are watching this and going, I like this. Where do I start? Where would you recommend that people begin in that journey towards not just building autonomous learners, but enabling and helping autonomous learners? Because they're already there, aren't they?
Yeah, they are already there. So I think that one of the first things you can do is find out how your people are already learning. If there's a marketing function that you've not actually been servicing with their technical expertise, go and have a word with them. Find out what their problems are right now, what their challenges are, how they're developing themselves. If it's not via courses, do this across the business. Find out how people are actually learning and try to help them to do that better. Learn from the people who are being very successful and try to share those approaches with the people who have yet to find their own way. I work for a technology company now, and I know that intuitive technology that helps you to quickly, rapidly, not just create resources, but to get them out to the business is also another way. So it's a phrase that I'm gonna steal from elsewhere, but think outside of the LMS, because the LMS, it does help you to manage your learners, but it doesn't help to inspire them or equip them a lot of the time. So look for the right tools to do the job, find out what the biggest priorities are within the organisation, and help people to do what they want to do better with your services and your offering.
So a bit of humility then on the part of L&D. Go listen, go learn, go interrogate your learners, and simply move them in the same direction, not in a different direction.
That's right.
Always good to talk to you though. Thank you very much indeed. It's a pleasure meeting you again.
Thank you.